Well, for more on the growing global competition in artificial intelligence, we welcome Scott Schober, who's in New York City. Scott is the president and CEO of Berkeley Varitronics Systems. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks for having me back, Rachelle.
So let's start by talking about the significance of AI to China's economy and national competitiveness.
Well, certainly this is huge, as was just mentioned there. Pretty exciting because China is heavily investing. They spent over $18 billion just in 2018 in artificial intelligence. Now they are behind the United States, but they're quickly catching up because they do have government backing. They're very keen on startups, even though the U.S. does have more artificial intelligence startups. China is embracing this, and as was mentioned there, it's accepting artificial intelligence very quickly. One key area that stands out in my mind is in mobile payments. If you look at the widespread adoption and use of mobile payments throughout China, it's very impressive, far more than in the United States. And what's so important about that is that people are willing to accept that technology and embrace it, and behind that is what? Artificial intelligence. So in some ways that gives a big advantage to China in certain sectors such as financial and things like that associated to mobile payments.
Now, you talked about some of China's strengths in AI. What about the U.S.? How do they compare in terms of the sectors that they're leading in?
Well, certainly the U.S., again, has a very, very strong track record because it's got decades of experience between researchers, the startup community there, and the funding that's being poured into the U.S., especially out of Silicon Valley. But there is a little twist. There's actually some people, and most of these people are very intelligent researchers that are Chinese Americans that are actually exiting and heading back to their home country in China because they can get more competitive salaries there. So they're leaving Silicon Valley, which is kind of surprising, but it's actually starting to happen. Again, it's not the masses, but it shows China is pulling people in and they're attracting them with different incentives, and a strong technology background in AI may appear to some people worth moving over and moving back to China and starting up in a startup there and doing very well. So there's some shifts going on there that may play out in the long run in the economies.
And we'll certainly have to see how that plays out in the global economy. We did hear Russian President Vladimir Putin already say whoever becomes the leader in this sphere is essentially going to become the ruler of the world. So for better or worse, why might that be the case?
Yeah, I do think that is the case in a sense. They can rule from a technology perspective. They can have a dominant economy. Just look, between now and 2030, predictions are for the global economy, artificial intelligence is going to be $15.7 trillion that it will bring to the global economy. That's an immense amount of money. And China is probably going to take about $7 trillion of that to their economy, to about $3.4 trillion to the U.S. economy, according to these predictions. So that's staggering. So it's definitely a race between both of them. Whoever gets there faster, investing in the technology, bringing the researchers in, providing the jobs, and deploying the technology, they're going to probably be the leader and the winner, or as Putin said, the ruler of this economy.
Now, Scott, as we learn more about AI and big data, the technology is also learning more about us. So how in step are lawmakers with the pace of AI development and the potential risks when it comes to privacy?
Well, the risks for privacy are always there. Again, I think the economies and the culture in China is a little bit different. They seem to embrace it a little bit more. We know there's 20 million cameras throughout China providing security, monitoring people. You look at WeChat, for example, it's got over 1 billion users. All of that information is really fuel. Fuel for AI is the big data. China rules it. There's more people, there's more big data. They can utilize that and don't have as many privacy restrictions as the U.S. People are a little more paranoid about privacy.
Right.
So that could actually make it more difficult for U.S. to embrace that and to grow in the AI area.
Now, just quickly, let's look at some of these collaborations. What used to be competitors, that now people are cooperating, whether it's government and private businesses. You also have Google and Microsoft opening their AI research centers in China, trying to tap into the workforce there. What are the biggest benefits and challenges that come with these sorts of collaborations?
Collaboration is essential here because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of need sharing information, and it's not just China and U.S. A new center just recently went up in Ghana, in Africa. The United Kingdom, there's new centers for research for AI by many of these companies, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. They're all in a race to build out these centers, and they can attract local talent pools of researchers to get AI out much quicker. So that collaboration, I think, is essential, not just between China and the U.S., but really other countries as well, because this is a global phenomenon that's going to change the way that we live. Kind of like electricity 100 years ago changed industries and how industries changed into different industries. Same thing with artificial intelligence. It's going to change the industry, computers, the internet, and everything we do as we know it.
All right, very insightful. Thank you so much. Scott Schober there, President and CEO of Berkeley Varitronics Systems.